Have you ever found yourself standing in a long, echoing hallway, an empty parking lot at night, or an abandoned playground, and felt a shiver of otherness? You're alone, but the space is filled with an eerie kind of potential, a sense of having once been full, a space caught in the aftermath of action. A place that's neither here nor there, but stuck in between, a threshold. Welcome to the world of liminal spaces. In Latin, the term liminal means threshold, and that's essentially what liminal spaces are, transitional spaces. They're on the cusp of something, the verge of the next moment. It's like the universe hit the pause button, and we're left suspended in an in-between moment, frozen in time. These liminal spaces are paradoxical in nature, a confluence of opposites. They're public yet personal, filled with profound sense of loneliness. They're familiar but oddly alien, and there's beauty in that paradox, a kind of melancholic poetry that has captured the imagination of artists, photographers, and writers alike, and has morphed into its own unique aesthetic. Originating in the field of anthropology, the concept of liminality was first introduced by Arnold van Gennep in his work The Rites of Passage, where he discussed the concept of transitioning from one phase of life to another. The term was further developed by Victor Turner, who recognized these in-between spaces as spaces of possibility, where societal norms could be challenged or reinvented. In the art world, liminal spaces act as the stage, the backdrop against which human narratives unfold. Artists have harnessed the powers of these spaces, the tangible feeling of transition, uncertainty, and displacement, to tell powerful stories that resonate with us on a deep emotional level. But what makes a good liminal space? What's the secret sauce that transforms the ordinary into the uncanny, a mundane corridor into a portal to the unknown? That's the question that we're going to try to answer today. We'll journey together through the eerie calm of vacant malls, down the seemingly endless highways, and navigate the shadowy uncertainty of empty school corridors after hours. We'll dive into the psychology that underpins our reactions to these spaces, discuss their role in the arts, and explore the different facets that make these spaces a playground for our imaginations. But don't be fooled. These are not just empty spaces. They are echoes of human interaction, resonating with the footfalls of those who pass through, leaving us with a feeling of something that once was, or something that's about to happen. As we delve into the captivating world of liminal spaces, we'll unravel their secrets, explore their charm, and maybe, just maybe, we'll even learn something about ourselves in the process. So buckle up and let's embark on this journey to understand what makes a good liminal space. To truly embark on our exploration of liminal spaces, let's ground ourselves in a formal definition. At its core, a liminal space is a transitional or transformative space. It's a place of both departure and arrival, a space of ambiguity and disorientation. In essence, a liminal space is not one where you are from or where you are going, but rather it's a space where you are in between. As already mentioned, liminal spaces come from the Latin word for threshold. Building on this, British cultural anthropologist Victor Turner expanded on the concept in the 1960s. For Turner, liminality is not just an in-between phase, but a state of being that can harbor transformation and creativity. He suggested that in these liminal spaces, individuals could transcend their cultural conditioning, norms, and expectations, offering opportunities for personal and societal change. Fast forward to today, and the term has found a place in the field of aesthetics, particularly in the arts and architectural discourse. From empty corridors to vacant motels, abandoned amusement parks to desolate landscapes, these liminal spaces have moved from the margins of our perception to becoming the central focus of various art forms. Artists and photographers harness the power of these spaces to evoke a sense of uncertainty, nostalgia, and even unease. The idea is not to repel, but to engage, to invite viewers to pause and explore these unfamiliar yet oddly familiar spaces, to challenge them, to question their perceptions of reality, and provoke introspection. Therefore, a liminal space, as it stands in contemporary usage, is a space caught in the temporal flux of the past, the present, and the future, acting as a canvas where reality and imagination intertwine. But what forms can these spaces take? Let's delve deeper into that. Our journey begins in the spaces designed for transit, airports, train stations, and bus terminals. These are classic liminal spaces, imbued with a potent sense of transience. Here, time seems to fold on itself as people from all corners of the world cross paths, each absorbed in their personal narratives of departure and arrival. The repetitive announcements, the constant hustle and bustle, the waiting. It's a space of flux where nothing is permanent, and yet it persists in a state of constant readiness. And seeing these spaces that are usually so full of people be completely empty is unsettling. Next, let's navigate through the haunted silence of abandoned buildings. Old factories, crumbling mansions, derelict hospitals. These spaces reverberate with stories of a time long gone. Here, the silence speaks volumes, echoing the footsteps of those who once occupied these spaces. Abandoned buildings embody the nostalgia and melancholy that's intrinsic to liminal spaces. They're stuck in a timeless loop, the present barely clinging on to the remnants of the past. Corridors and stairwells, especially in institutional buildings like schools, hospitals, or offices, often evoke a sense of unease. Stripped of the daily humdrum, these spaces transform into eerie conduits of emptiness. There's a feeling of expectancy in the air, a lingering sense that something just happened or is about to happen. They're ever waiting, holding their breath for the next burst of life. Hotels and motels encapsulate the very essence of liminality. They're places designed for transients, for people in a state of going to or coming from somewhere else. The anonymity they offer, the countless stories that remain untold within their rooms, give them an uncanny quality. The generic decor, the interchangeable keys, they're not meant for permanence, but for temporary, fleeting encounters. Lastly, consider the unclaimed territories. Vacant lots and desolate landscapes. An empty parking lot at night, a barren desert, or an unused plot of land. These spaces resonate with a profound sense of isolation. The absence of human presence allows nature to creep back in, to reclaim what was once hers, adding a unique layer of uncanniness to these spaces. Despite their inherent differences, these spaces share a few key characteristics. They're places of transition, often public, yet radiating an intense sense of isolation. They carry an element of the uncanny, being both familiar yet foreign. Each evokes feelings of ambiguity and displacement, straddling the threshold between reality and imagination. But the most intriguing aspect is the emotional resonance these spaces hold. They often inspire feelings of unease, nostalgia, or an unsettling sort of comfort. It's as though these spaces whisper secrets of times gone by, of people who passed through, of stories that unfolded and then faded away. These spaces hold a mirror to our subconscious fears and fascination, a reflection of our shared human experience. And it's through this lens of liminality, the space of in-betweenness, that we see our realities in a different light. A light that's both disconcerting and strangely beautiful. Liminal spaces have played a pivotal role in photography, a medium particularly adept at capturing transient moments. Consider the work of renowned photographer Todd Hito, known for his mesmerizing images of suburban landscapes at dusk. His series, Homes at Night, is a poignant exploration of liminality. The houses, illuminated from within, stand against the enveloping darkness, an embodiment of the threshold between the intimate domestic space and the vast unknown exterior. It's the in-betweenness of day and night, home and world, light and dark, that Hito beautifully captures in his frames. Turning to cinema, liminal spaces have provided a rich canvas for filmmakers to evoke a sense of transition, ambiguity, and suspense. Stanley Kubrick, a master of visual storytelling, often used liminal spaces to intensify the psychological tension in his films. The Shining is not just a horror film, it's a haunting exploration of liminality, teeming with spaces that are at once real and surreal, mundane and horrific. At the heart of this exploration is the Overlook Hotel, a monumental presence looming over the narrative. The hotel, secluded and snowbound, exists in a state of temporal and spatial liminality. It's stuck between seasons, perched on the edge of civilization, almost a universe unto itself. But the liminality runs deeper and fused in the fabric of the hotel itself. Its sprawling, maze-like layout, its grand halls and corridors that seem to stretch into infinity, its eerily symmetric patterns. It's a space in flux, ever shifting, blurring the lines between reality and illusion. The most emblematic of these liminal spaces is in the infamous room 237. It stands as a portal to the hotel's dark history, a threshold between the physical world and the supernatural realm. The room's uncanny allure, its aura of mystery and dread, pulls Jack Torrance into the vortex of the hotel's malevolent spirit. In this sense, Room 237 embodies the unsettling nature of liminal spaces, places of transition that hold potential for both growth and danger. Another significant liminal space in The Shining is the Gold Room. It's a hub of temporal disorientation, shifting between periods, teeming with ghostly partygoers from different areas. When Jack steps into the Gold Room, he steps out of the present, plunging into the past, or perhaps an eternal present that the hotel traps him in. It's an in-between space, echoing Jack's internal struggle as he oscillates between insanity and madness. But perhaps the most haunting liminal space in The Shining is the labyrinth hedge maze. It's a physical manifestation of the psychological maze the characters find themselves in. As the characters navigate its winding paths, the maze becomes a liminal space of transformation, particularly for Wendy and Danny, who, amidst terror and disorientation, find the courage to escape the clutches of Jack's insanity. In a more contemporary example, Inception, directed by Christopher Nolan, uses liminal spaces to blur the boundaries between dreams and reality. An intricate labyrinth of dreams within dreams, Inception uses liminal spaces as the bedrock of its narrative, showcasing their ability to disorient, fascinate, and provoke thought. The liminal spaces in Inception are more than mere physical locations. They're mindscapes, landscapes of the subconscious, mutable and malleable. These spaces exist in the threshold between consciousness and unconsciousness, reality and illusion, control and chaos. The dream layers in Inception are quintessential liminal spaces. As the characters descend into deeper dream levels, they also traverse a liminal pathway that leads them further from reality and closer to the subconscious. Each layer represents a distinct world, yet they're interconnected, influencing each other. These dreamscapes reflect the characters' internal states, their fears, desires, and memories, making them places of intense personal and emotional transition. For example, take the dream level crafted by Ariadne, the architect. The surreal cityscape with its gravity-defying structures is a liminal space par excellence. It's simultaneously familiar and alien, following and breaking the laws of physics, creating a sense of disorientation and intrigue. The scene where Ariadne folds the city upon itself exemplifies the transformative potential of liminal spaces, highlighting their capability to disrupt the familiar and open up possibilities for the new. The hotel corridor fight scene, set in a zero-gravity environment, is another potent depiction of a liminal space. It's a space of suspended reality where the familiar laws of gravity don't apply, resulting in a disorienting yet mesmerizing dance of combat. Then there's Limbo, the deepest level of dreaming, a vast, unconstructed dream space where the dreamer risks getting lost in the vast expanse of their subconscious. Limbo is the ultimate liminal space, a place of uncertainty, infinite possibility, and potential peril. It's both a blank canvas and a seductive maze, challenging the dreamer's grip on reality. In Inception, liminal spaces drive the narrative, serve as a metaphor for the human mind, and intensify the film's thematic exploration of dreams, memory, and identity. Christopher Nolan exploits the liminal nature of dreams to create a multi-layered narrative, where spaces are in constant flux, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats. Visual arts, through their static or moving frames, offer a unique vantage point to experience liminal spaces. They enable us to pause, to dwell on the ambiguity, and to feel the in-betweenness that's often fleeting in our real-world encounters. The works of artists like Hito or filmmakers like Kubrick and Nolan take us on a journey through these spaces. They invite us to engage with the unknown, the forgotten, the eerie, and the nostalgic. They challenge our perceptions, blur the boundaries, and shroud us in the enigma of transition. As we traverse these artistic landscapes, we encounter our fears and desires, our past and present, our comfort and discomfort. In that, we get a glimpse into the power of liminal spaces, their ability to elicit strong emotional responses, to make us reflect, and to make us feel deeply. In literature, these spaces often act as a mirror, reflecting the protagonist's internal journey, their emotional landscape, their transitions, The feelings invoked here might range from anticipation to anxiety, from longing to liberation. Let's begin with C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia. Remember the wardrobe? The ordinary piece of furniture was, in fact, a liminal space. A threshold between two worlds, literally. The mundane reality of war-torn England and the magical realm of Narnia. It stood for hope, anticipation, and fear of the unknown, echoing the children's emotional turmoil as they navigated their lives disrupted by war. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series also offers a wealth of liminal spaces. The most obvious is Platform 9 3/4, the threshold between the Muggle world and the Wizarding world. Then there's the Room of Requirement, a magical space that only appears when someone is in dire need of it, morphing into whatever is needed at the moment. These spaces serve as symbolic junctions, reflecting the character's journey from ordinary to extraordinary. Moving to a classic, F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby also employs liminal spaces to amplify the themes of social mobility and moral decay. The Valley of Ashes, lying between West Egg and Manhattan, is a purgatorial landscape, representing the bleak reality between the glitz and glamour of the Jazz Age. It's an in-between space that echoes the characters' moral ambiguity, their shattered dreams, their struggle between old values and new wealth. Virginia Woolf's modernist masterpiece, To the Lighthouse, represents a different take on liminal spaces. The sea, in its vast, formless expanse, serves as a metaphysical liminal space, a symbol of constant change and impermanence, reflecting the character's internal quest for meaning and connection amidst the flux of life. In literature, liminal spaces become metaphors, serving as conduits for characters' transitions and transformations. They allow authors to externalize the character's internal struggles, to explore themes of change, uncertainty, and identity. The feelings invoked in these spaces, be it anticipation, nostalgia, anxiety, or longing, mirror our own emotional responses to liminality, enhancing our engagement with the narrative. Liminal spaces, by their very nature, induce a sense of unease. Why is that? Well, our brains are wired to recognize patterns and familiarity for survival. A forest is a shelter, a river is a source of water, a cave provides safety. That's how our ancestors thought. But when we stumble upon these in-between spaces, our brain doesn't quite know how to categorize them. They're not inherently dangerous, but they're not entirely safe either. They're familiar, yet something seems off. This dissonance can result in feelings of discomfort or unease. But it's not just unease these spaces evoke. Nostalgia is another element that's often tied to liminal spaces. Think about an abandoned playground, a closed-down shop, or a deserted carnival. These are places once filled with laughter, chatter, and life. Now they stand still, stuck in time, remnants of a past that's no longer accessible. These spaces tug at our heartstrings, evoking a sense of longing for times gone by. Then there's the mystery, the allure of the unknown. Liminal spaces invite us to fill in the blanks with our own narratives. Who was the last person to walk down this corridor? What stories could these crumbling walls tell if they could speak? Our imagination takes flight, and we become the detectives of these abandoned narratives, the archaeologists of the unseen. Interestingly, these spaces might also provoke feelings of comfort or tranquility for some people. The predictability of an airport routine, the silence of an empty hallway, the stillness of a vacant lot. For some, these places serve as a respite from the chaotic hustle of life. In their emptiness and their in-betweenness, they offer a kind of freedom from societal expectations, a place to just be. But why do different people have different reactions? The answer lies in our individual experiences and perceptions. For some, an empty hallway might remind them of a quiet moment of respite in a busy school day. For others, it might trigger the memory of some horror movie that they saw. Our personal experiences, memories, and cultural contexts shape our reactions to these spaces. So, liminal spaces play with our sense of reality. They challenge our perceptions. They whisper stories of the past and possibilities of the future. They're a psychological playground, a place where our fears, our longings, our comforts, and discomforts come to the forefront. These spaces reflect our shared humanity in all its complexity, making us pause, wonder, and question. And that is the magic of liminal spaces. Liminal spaces are peculiar. They stand at the crossroads of memory and forgetfulness, like a town you used to visit in your childhood but haven't seen in years. You might remember the layout, the color of the buildings, the smell of the bakery around the corner, but the specifics have faded. It's the same town, but it's not. The buildings are repainted. The bakery has closed down. New people walk its streets. The town is a liminal space, caught between your memory of it and its current existence. It's a dance between the past and the present, between remembering and forgetting. These spaces, by their very nature, are carriers of memory. Think about an abandoned house. Its peeling wallpapers, creaky floors, and dusty furniture hold memories of the people who once lived there. It's a monument of a past life, a vessel carrying the weight of forgotten stories. Yet, its current state of disrepair signifies a forgetfulness, a lapse in the continuum of lived experience. And this brings us to a peculiar aspect of liminal spaces: nostalgia. Nostalgia is an intriguing emotion. It's a sweet sorrow, a yearning for a past that's forever out of reach. When combined with the uncanniness of liminal spaces, it gives them an uneasy comfort. Consider an old playground. Rusty swings, dilapidated slide, overgrown grass. It's nostalgic, reminding you of simpler times, of laughter and carefree days. But it's also eerie, as the playground stands desolate, a shadow of its former self. Moreover, our childhood experiences play a significant role in how we perceive these spaces. A space that evokes nostalgia for some might trigger trauma for others. For instance, a long hallway might remind one person of a joyous childhood spent exploring grandparents' house, while for another, it could recall a traumatic incident that happened in a similar setting. Our memories, both pleasant and painful, color our experiences of these spaces. Therefore, liminal spaces are much like memory itself, mutable, subjective, and deeply personal. They straddle the fine line between familiarity and strangeness, past and present. They invite us to confront our past, to delve into our memories, and to engage with our feelings of nostalgia, discomfort, or even fear. So, next time you find yourself in a liminal space, take a moment. Listen to the echoes of the past, the whispers of forgotten stories. Let the nostalgia wash over you. Let the unease challenge you. For it's in these in-between spaces, these thresholds of memory, that we truly encounter the depth of our emotional landscape. A good liminal space, as we've explored through various examples, should invoke a sense of uncertainty. These are places of ambiguity, where the usual norms and expectations don't always apply. Liminal spaces exist at the crossroads of what we know and what we don't, what we are and what we could become. So why is uncertainty so integral to defining a good liminal space? To begin, uncertainty taps into our innate curiosity and sense of wonder. It incites us to explore, to question, to seek answers. Imagine standing in a long, deserted corridor. Its length creates a sense of infinite expansion. Its emptiness imbues it with an air of mystery. You can't quite see what's at the end, and that's what draws you in. You want to traverse it, to uncover its secrets, to conquer the unknown. This curiosity, this quest for discovery, is a significant part of our human experience, and liminal spaces cater to this instinct masterfully. Uncertainty also forces us to reassess our relationship with the environment and ourselves. It takes us out of our comfort zones, disrupts our routine perceptions, and prompts us to look at things from fresh perspectives. As we've seen in Inception, the dreamscape's mutability blurs the boundaries of reality and illusion, making the characters and the viewers question their understanding of reality. This state of questioning can lead to deeper self-reflection and potential personal transformation, hallmark features of a good liminal space. Moreover, the element of uncertainty in liminal spaces enhances their emotional impact. It can induce a range of emotions, from unease and dread to excitement and anticipation. Consider Kubrick's The Shining, where the Overlook Hotel's ever-changing layout instills a sense of disorientation and dread. This emotional engagement not only enriches our experience of these spaces, but also makes them more memorable. Importantly, uncertainty allows for multiplicity of interpretation, which contributes to the inclusive nature of liminal spaces. Since there's no definite meaning or purpose assigned to these spaces, they're open to individual interpretation, resonating differently with different people. This openness makes liminal spaces universal, accessible, and personal, all at once. Finally, the element of uncertainty underlines the transformative potential of liminal spaces. As places of transition and possibility, liminal spaces symbolize change, growth, and evolution. Uncertainty, being inherently dynamic and unpredictable, amplifies this transformative power, making liminal spaces sites of potential and promise. In essence, the element of uncertainty in liminal spaces engages our curiosity, challenges our perceptions, stirs our emotions, allows for individual interpretations, and fosters transformation. It infuses these spaces with a unique charm and allure, a sense of mystery and wonder that beckons us to explore and experience. That's what makes a good liminal space. It's not just a physical location, but an emotional journey, a personal narrative, a canvas for discovery and transformation. At the heart of liminal spaces is transition. These places exist between here and there, now and then. They are waypoints on journeys, thresholds to cross, sites of flux and change. This transitional nature of liminal spaces is central to their appeal, interwoven with our emotional engagement with them. The transitional aspect of liminal spaces mirrors life's inherent transience, echoing our journey from one phase to another. It's reflective of the human condition, the passage of time, and the constant evolution we all undergo. This mirroring can evoke a wide spectrum of emotions, from excitement and anticipation to nostalgia and melancholy. The thrill of transition can stir a sense of adventure and curiosity. When we stand at the entrance of a long hallway, an airport terminal, or a bridge, we're filled with anticipation for what lies ahead. We're poised on the edge of change, ready to step into a new space, a new experience, a new version of ourselves. This sense of stepping into the unknown, of embarking on a journey, can be exhilarating. On the flip side, transitional spaces can evoke feelings of nostalgia and melancholy. They remind us of the impermanence of things, of the moments, places, and selves we've left behind. An empty parking lot at dusk, an abandoned building, or a quiet motel room can stir a poignant longing for what was, a yearning for a past we can't return to. In essence, the transitional nature of liminal spaces amplifies their emotional resonance, fostering a deeper connection with our individual journeys, our memories, and our feelings. It is this personal emotional engagement that makes these spaces so compelling, so relatable, so profoundly human. A key attribute that enhances the allure of a good liminal space is a sense of timelessness. This isn't about the objective measurement of time. Instead, it's about the perception of time's fluidity and flexibility. In liminal spaces, time often feels suspended, slowed, or irrelevant, lending these spaces an aura of internal in-betweenness. So why does this sense of timelessness matter? Firstly, because it amplifies the sense of mystery and uncertainty inherent in liminal spaces. Time, like space, structures our lives, gives us a sense of order and predictability. And when that structure is disrupted, as it often is in liminal spaces, it induces a feeling of disorientation, of being adrift. This disruption can be both unnerving and exhilarating, stirring curiosity and fostering exploration. The timelessness of liminal spaces also encourages introspection. Freed from the constraints of chronological time, we can delve into the timeless realm of memory, reflection, and imagination. These are places that invite us to pause, to look inward, to connect with our inner selves. They offer us a space to step outside the rush of everyday life, to engage with our thoughts and emotions in a more profound way. Moreover, the sense of timelessness can evoke a poignant nostalgia. Liminal spaces often seem untouched by time, preserving remnants of the past while existing outside the present. They can stir memories, awaken feelings of longing, trigger a yearning for a time that was. Think of a deserted playground at dusk, an empty school hallway during summer, or an abandoned factory. These places can serve as poignant reminders of times gone by, eliciting a complex mix of comfort, melancholy, and nostalgia. Importantly, timelessness enhances the universality of liminal spaces. As they exist outside the regular flow of time, they're accessible to everyone, across different time periods. They can resonate with diverse individuals, evoking shared feelings of mystery, nostalgia, and introspection, thus fostering a sense of shared human experience. Finally, the sense of timelessness underscores the transformative potential of liminal spaces. As sites of transition and change, these spaces symbolize a journey from one state of being to another. The timeless nature of these spaces emphasizes this transformative journey, reminding us of the ongoing process of growth and evolution that defines our human experience. In essence, the sense of timelessness in liminal spaces contributes to their mystique, encourages introspection, evokes nostalgia, fosters universality, and underscores transformation. transformation. It immerses us in a timeless in-between, a realm where past, present, and future meld into one. And that's what makes a good liminal space. It's a place that engages our senses, touches our hearts, and stirs our souls. If liminal spaces are stages, then emotions are the key players that bring these spaces to life. The emotional resonance of a liminal space, whether it's a feeling of eeriness, nostalgia, tranquility, or discomfort, gives it depth and character, making it engaging, personal, and memorable. It's like a silent melody that permeates the space, touching the chords of our hearts, stirring our deepest feelings. Eeriness, as a quintessential element of many liminal spaces, adds a layer of mystery and intrigue. It heightens our senses, quickens our pulse, and draws us into the space. An abandoned hospital, a dimly lit alley, an empty parking lot at night, they all share a kind of unsettling quiet, a silence that speaks volume, that alludes to stories untold, secrets hidden. This sense of eeriness often triggers a primal fear of the unknown, making our experience of these spaces intensely visceral and unforgettable. Nostalgia, on the other hand, wraps these spaces in a soft, wistful glow. It's a longing for a past that is out of reach, a yearning for the comfort of the familiar in the midst of the unfamiliar. Childhood memories often lie at the heart of this nostalgia. Think of an empty playground, a deserted school hallway, a quiet neighborhood street at dusk. These places, though ordinary, can evoke strong feelings of nostalgia, transporting us back to our childhood, stirring memories of innocence, simplicity, and joy. Childhood nostalgia in liminal spaces is often tinged with a sense of melancholy, of loss. These spaces are reminders of the inevitable passage of time, of the transience of childhood, of the moments and places that once were but are no more. This sense of loss can be poignant, stirring a sweet sadness that resonates deeply with us. Importantly, the emotional resonance of liminal spaces can also touch upon deeper, more complex emotions, such as trauma. Liminal spaces can act as symbols or metaphors for our personal and collective traumas, providing a physical representation of our emotional landscapes. A dilapidated building, an abandoned amusement park, a derelict ship, all these spaces can evoke feelings of decay, abandonment, and loss that resonate with our experiences of trauma. They offer us a space to confront and process these traumas, fostering healing and transformation. In essence, the emotional resonance of liminal spaces, be it eeriness, nostalgia, melancholy, or a reflection of trauma, is what makes these spaces profoundly engaging. It immerses us in a rich tapestry of emotions, paints our experiences with vibrant hues of feelings, connects us with our inner selves, our past, our memories. It turns these spaces into mirrors that reflect our emotions, our hopes, our fears, our dreams. That's what makes a good liminal space. It's not just a physical location, but an emotional journey, a personal narrative, a canvas for self-discovery and self-expression. And that's the magic of liminal spaces. They touch our hearts, stir our souls, and leave us with a sense of wonder, a sense of connection, a sense of being human. As we meander through the winding corridors of our exploration into the mystifying world of liminal spaces, we find ourselves back at the start, standing once again at the threshold of our central question. What makes a good liminal space? The answer, as we've discovered, is as multi-layered and complex as the spaces themselves. We've journeyed through a realm that blurs boundaries and defies conventions. We've navigated through the misty mazes of abandoned buildings, the silent stretches of long hallways, the spectral silhouettes of empty playgrounds at dusk. These spaces, liminal in nature, thrive on ambiguity and transition, on the delicate dance between familiarity and unfamiliarity, between comfort and disquiet. A good liminal space, we've learned, is defined by its transitional nature, its sense of uncertainty, its timeless quality. It's a space that exists between the lines of the undefined and the defined, a site that thrives in the in-between. It's not the physical dimensions of these spaces that captivate us. It's their emotional resonance, the eeriness that pricks our skin, the nostalgia that tugs at our hearts, the sense of loss that nudges our memories. These are the elements that breathe life into liminal spaces, that transform them from mere physical locations into landscapes of emotion, memory, and imagination. As places of transition and thresholds of change, liminal spaces mirror our journey through life, our transitions from one stage to another, our personal and collective transformations. They serve as reflections of our psychological landscapes, providing a tangible canvas for our emotional narratives. They touch upon the universal themes of growth, change, loss, nostalgia, and even trauma, offering us a space to explore and reflect, remember, heal, Looking ahead, the aesthetic of liminal spaces shows no sign of receding into the shadows. Instead, it continues to evolve, to seep into different realms of art, literature, cinema, photography, even virtual reality. As we navigate through an increasingly complex, unpredictable, and transitional world, the liminal space aesthetic offers us a lens to view our realities, a mirror to reflect on our experiences, a canvas to paint our stories. In a world that's constantly changing, where boundaries are continuously blurring, where transitions are the norm rather than the exception, liminal spaces provide a comforting familiarity amidst the unfamiliar. They offer us a space to pause, to breathe, to reflect. They remind us of the beauty of transition, the thrill of the unknown, the sweetness of nostalgia, the poignancy of loss. They evoke a sense of shared human experience, connecting us with each other, with our pasts, with our inner selves. As we step into the future, let's carry with us the magic of liminal spaces, the lessons they teach us, the feelings they evoke, the stories they tell. They are reminders that life, like a good liminal space, thrives in the in-between, in the transition, in the journey. And as we navigate through our own liminal spaces, let's remember to cherish the journey, to celebrate the transition, to embrace the in-between. Because in the end, that's where life happens. That's where stories unfold. That's where magic resides, in the beautiful, poignant, timeless realm of the liminal.